Hello YouTubers, Black Chef here. Welcome back to the channel. I apologize for it's been so long since I've uploaded a video. I've had a lot of things going on. In short, I've joined up with my local American Red Cross as a volunteer, and I've also joined with my local CERT team as a volunteer and a search and rescue member. That being said, over the course of the last couple weeks, I've been undertaking a variety of new and interesting trainings and FEMA courses and things that have been provided to me by the American Red Cross, by CERT, and by FEMA. And there's a couple of things that have been on my mind. And the main question is, how prepared is the average person for some kind of disaster or calamity? And what I've come across is the average person is not prepared for a disaster or a calamity or a problem. That being said, there's a few simple things you can do in order to prevent yourself from falling victim during something that is a natural or man-made disaster. The first thing that I absolutely recommend that you do is take a first aid or a medical trauma course of some kind. It does you no good to learn how to use your handgun or to learn how to use your rifle in a self-defense situation if you don't know how to patch yourself up after being shot, stabbed, or otherwise injured. This can be something that can happen during your day-to-day life too. Say you're walking around the construction site and you step on a board that has a nail in it. What do? Do you know how to patch yourself up? Do you know how to treat your own wound until you can get to the hospital? Or are you going to have to call an ambulance and cost yourself several $1,000s? The average person possesses at least a working knowledge of the ABCs, airway, breathing, and circulation. And the average person knows that if the airway is blocked, if breathing stops, or circulation is interrupted somewhere, bad things happen. But your average person does not know how to treat these things in detail. Your average person does not. Hi, Xena. How you doing, everybody? This is Xena, my K9 partner. She just wanted to come by and say hi. Get down, baby. I'm talking to the YouTube. Oh, dogs are the best, aren't they? But your average person doesn't have a working knowledge of how to treat these things. So I absolutely recommend that you go and you take a course put on by your local American Red Cross or your Medical Reserve Corps in first aid and CPR. That way you know the basics of what to do when things go bad. The next thing you need to do, oh, Xena, you need to get down, baby. The next thing you need to do is have not only enough food on hand for you and your family members to last a couple weeks, but also your furry friends and my co-stars. They've got to eat and drink too. So you got to make sure that when you do your food and water supplies for you, that you also have enough food and water for them, because they're a member of the family too. So when you're stocking your food and you're stocking your water, how much do you want to have on hand? Well, you want to have about 3 to 4 weeks on hand at a minimum for each member of your family. And that includes your furry members of your family too. Remember, if you want to eat, they want to eat. If you want something to drink, they want something to drink. And that applies to your animals, your children, your spouse, even your family members and your in-laws. Even though I know none of us really like our in-laws. Just kidding. The next thing that you want to make sure you have on hand is plenty of medications. And I don't necessarily mean, morphine, xylitol. I think I just made that one up. Codeine, etc., etc. I'm talking your aspirin, your antidiarrheal, your Pepto-Bismol. All your simple stuff that makes day-to-day life easier is stuff you want to stock up on. You want to have extra cold and flu medications on hand. You want to have extra Benadryl on hand. And yes, for those of you who do take prescription medications for a heart condition or insulin for diabetes or albuterol for a lung condition, you absolutely want to have an extra supply of that on hand. That being said, I realize that's hard to get, but if you can get your doctor to write you a script for an extra month's supply, explain to them what you're doing, they should be able to help you out. So those are the basics. You need to have your food, your water, and any medications that any member in your family or your household might need. Okay? That's going to be what's going to get you through a 3 to 4 week disaster. On average, that's going to be how long it's going to take before everything goes back to normal. In the event of the tornadoes we just had in Beech Grove, Things are returning to normal about now. We had a family that was displaced. They were taken care of. We had several other members of the community that just needed a little helping hand and needed to know somebody was there for them. They needed help with their insurance claims. They needed help with just bottled water and somebody to listen to. And those kind of things are pretty simple. You know, if your neighbor loses their house in a natural disaster and you can come over and have a bottle of water with them, maybe welcome them into your home, you know, because you have extra supplies, you can make things a lot easier on not just yourself, but other people. In a natural disaster or a man-made disaster, that's all we have to rely on is each other and our skill sets that we've acquired throughout the years. So if you have the time, you need to take the money, the expenses, the inconveniences of storing all this stuff into account, and you need to put it into place. You also need to take training classes, such as those offered by your local Red Cross, those offered by the CERT team in your area. Might I suggest even joining those programs? You get a better view on things. You want to have rope on hand. You want to have hard hats on hand, candles, crayons. In an emergency situation, each crayon lasts for, I believe, 30 minutes. That's a great source of light and heat. An average candle, if you take 2 or 3 of the bigger candles, the big coolie-sized candles or the big Glock chef-sized candles, for those of you who don't know my actual name, those candles are going to be about that big, and those can actually heat a room up pretty well. If you get a couple of those going, it'll keep your room above freezing, and it'll be the difference between comfort and shivering. Obviously, if power goes out during the summertime, y'all gonna be doing a lot of sweating. So you need to take that into account when you put your 3 to 4 week water plan in place. You need to have about 2 gallons of water per person per day. And that's on the low end, especially if it's hot outside. If it's hot outside, you need to have more like 3 to 4 gallons of water per person per day. Because you're not just going to be using this water for drinking. You're going to be using this water to wipe your face. You're going to be using this water to try to wash with. You're going to be using this water to try to keep clean with. So this is something that you need to take into account when you're storing your water and your food. You're going to need that water to cook with. You're going to need that water to clean yourself up with. You're going to need that water for general purpose as well as drinking. So you need to plan for about a gallon or so more than you would expect each person to consume. Now, the other thing you need to look at too is if the power goes down, how am I going to cook this food? I would suggest each one of you have an alternate means of cooking food in your home, such as a propane stove, a butane stove, etc., etc. For those of you who go camping a lot, you've already got this. It's covered. Great. For the average American, you have this already. It's your grill. Make sure you have enough propane or charcoal stocked up to last a couple of weeks. If you need to use that as your cooking method, that's going to be a lifesaver in a disaster. There's a number of things that you keep on hand in your home each and every day that are going to help you through a disaster. The grill is one of them. Propane is another one. Your hand tools are going to be great use if there's a flood. You're going to be able to dig yourself out some sandbags or a trench to redirect water. There's a number of things you need to look at. You need to figure out what disasters are common in your area and what you can do to prepare your home for them. If you're living in a floodplain, maybe redirecting and digging a water trench around your home to redirect water flow away from your foundation and away from your basement. Maybe you need to look into an inflatable sandbag or a fillable sandbag. For those of you who live in low-lying areas that are very flood prone, use that to redirect water around your house. It's the simplest things that'll save your life in a natural disaster. Your first aid training is one of them. None of this stuff has anything to do with guns or firearms or tactics or training, but it's all stuff that might save your life. At the end of the day, you need to take a step back and realize that it's not just your guns and your skills with your guns that might come in handy in a natural disaster. Everybody thinks of the zombie apocalypse as the fun way to look at the end of the world as we know it, or look at a natural disaster. More commonly, the disaster that's going to befall you and your family is going to be one that lasts maybe 2 to 3 days, maybe a week tops. And you need to be prepared for that disaster as well. Well, folks, according to Xena, I've been talking for long enough. I hope you have a good day. I hope you enjoyed my comments. I hope you all enjoyed meeting my dog. And if you didn't, well, I'm sorry about you. Dogs are awesome. Peace out, Cub Scout. Clock Chef out.